Well, I'm Charles Sternbach, and it's a pleasure to welcome you here to Discovery Thinking Forum this afternoon. The room is packed with discovery thinkers, and I'm delighted that you're here. Today's theme is Pioneering Discoveries, Bringers of Global Prosperity, and you will see as we go through these new game-changing discoveries the impact that it has for good. So for those of you who are Discovery Thinking alumni, and I know we have at least a few of you here in the audience, you know that I always like to take a few moments at the beginning of every Discovery Thinking Forum and talk a little bit about where we've been, what we're doing today, and the plans for the future. So with that, I wanted to make a special announcement. Today is a very special day in the history of Discovery Thinking. We've been doing these programs now at AAPG since 2008, and the very first program started here in San Antonio downstairs. But back then, the conference room was a little bit smaller than it is now. And so over the years, we've had attendance ranges from 300 to 800 attendees at every Discovery Thinking for an average of about 500 attendees per meeting, and over 21, today is the 21st Discovery Thinking Forum. We've had over 10,000 participants, and we are delighted. That's enough to basically make an entire convention. A lot of APG conventions have 4,000, 5,000, or 7,000 people. So 10,000 is fairly, as far as packing the house over many years, it has had a big impact. The other thing I wanted to point out is that one of our legacies is to capture the information. So for those speakers who grant permission, we can post on the webpage some or all of their presentations if they wish. And we've had a lot of people who have enjoyed those over the years. They're on the APG website. And this all started out 10 years before APG's 100th anniversary. So we're now in our 102nd year. So we had a goal to try to feature great men and women explorers telling the great stories of discovery. So we wanted to feature 100 who made a difference, and so we're up to 115 now, and after today it'll be 119. So promise made, promise kept. Those are the best kind of promises, aren't they? So you can see some of the history rolling along, but the big question is, how do we keep discovery thinking vibrant? Well, guess what? We have an idea. So the next two Discovery Thinking Forums, the one in Houston in 2020, it'll be next June, and the Denver annual convention in 2021, we are going to focus not just on discoveries, but on giant discoveries, really big game changers. And that coincides with an effort that we have. Bob Merrill and John Dolson are assisting. We're working together to create a new memoir for APG, The Giant Fields of the Decade 2010-2020. And I know that a lot of people here in the audience could be interested in participating in that. And we welcome, if you have a giant field, come see us. And we have raised substantial financial sponsorship. If you or your company would like to be associated with this project and help us with sponsorship, we would be grateful. So a word about giants through the decades. Everyone knows the classic Michelle T. Halberty APG memoir. It's over the 6 decades. Every decade, there's a compilation of the world's greatest fields. So we just finished one, the 2010. You can see it there. Little product placement here. It's available in the APG bookstore, and it's a popular item. It chronologues the recent discoveries, including many unconventional discoveries. And if you look at the bar graph, we're not quite done with the 2010 to 2020 decade, and we're seeing a lot of giant discoveries coming across the wire. So we're seeing a resurgence in giant field discoveries. So think about that. Isn't that wonderful? And why are they happening? I believe it's the technology of unconventionals. So we're getting to see, with horizontal drilling, unconventional resources, some big game-changing, giant unconventional fields, and enhanced seismic imaging is helping with offshore giants. So very exciting time for giant fields. And the thing about giants is when we learn about them, they help with the ecosystem for fields of all sizes. And so just a quick look at, here's a map of the approximately 1,000 giant fields in the world, and giant is defined as 500 million barrels oil equivalent or greater, and they seem to be clustered in the light blue areas, which are the world's greatest basins. They're the super basins. So it's not that in the 1,000 petroleum basins around the world that there's one giant field evenly distributed. 60% of the giant fields seem to be very closely related with the fundamentally rich superbasins. So there's a real important relationship here. And superbasins are a topic that we've talked a lot about at APG. So for the next 2 episodes of Discovery Thinking, we have 20 giant fields committed. The blue dots are where there are known giant fields been announced, and we're populating this graphic with contributions to the memoir. And so we will be building and adding and turning a lot of those blue circles into the new book. And if you have one of those blue circles, please come see us. We'd like to talk to you about that. So a word about superbasins, since I mentioned it. We have had, in a little over a year, close to 14 events themed on the world's greatest basins. It started in March of 2018, during my year when I was APG president. It's continuing onward, and we are planning on February 11th, 2020 in Houston, a global superbasin leadership conference. We're going to look at the world's greatest basins, and we invite you to come and join us. I have information up here on the podium if you're so interested, and we've reached about over 4,000 people have participated in these events. And here are many of the smiling faces, and you may recognize yourself in these groupings. So these are the big basins. These are what control giant fields. These are programs that APG is going to continue to focus on in the years ahead, and we hope you find them valuable. So now, enough about the future. Let's get busy today. So today we are delighted to have 4 outstanding presentations on recent game-changing, giant, and important fields that have driven prosperity in their regions. And I think that's a really common theme, that each and every one of them. So I would like to introduce our first speaker, Maria Guedes from ExxonMobil. Maria is from the Andes of Venezuela. She got her degrees at Simon Bolivar University and Rice University. She has over 12 years with ExxonMobil. She is currently the exploration manager for Guyana, and Maria has had a lot of experience in Africa, East Africa and West Africa. So Maria, would you please come tell us a little bit about the exciting news in Guyana? Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Maria.